This feels a little weird because I wasn't sure how it was going to be talking to like an empty room. But I'll let you know later how did it go. Let me see, where do we start? Well, I think that first of all, I want to thank everybody that has been directly and indirectly connected to maintaining this space open and with the lights on, as you can see, pretty bright. We have from the team in computers and broadcasting to the cleaning crew that comes and keeps it clean, to everybody that donates funds so we can keep up with the rent and other expenses, to the wonderful hands that cook us the Saturday dinner so we can also raise funds for the bills, to everybody that comes to the garage sale once a month, like Yonat and Karin were talking about last week. It's so many people that I'm sure I'm gonna forget someone, but this is a hospital, this is a school, and I don't know about you, but I can't wait. I'm counting the seconds for us to be back again together, healing, working, learning, and most of all, just communing and gathering, socializing with each other. So thank everybody for working no matter what, for being here no matter what. And for the ones that do know my proposal in the beginning when I started sharing these studies, when I was asked to share the studies, I picked a part of the Spirits book. Real quick, if you are just connecting now or even just as a review, right? Once upon a time, around the 1800s, there was a man, human like us. His name was Leon Denisard Rival, and he was very prestige in his society due to his being a professor and a man of science, a mathematician, and astronomy, and all kinds of different intellects. And he was invited to participate in some gatherings because at that time it was a big hit, the turning tables in Paris, and a phenomena that was happening over there, most of all as a show business, right? With entertainment as a theater, but there were small gatherings happening where serious mediums were being the connection between the invisible world and the physical world. So he was invited to participate on these meetings, private meetings, and even though he didn't believe, and if you want to check it out, there's also a movie now on Netflix about him. It has tons of books. So even though he was skeptical about it, he did ended up attending those meetings and compile a bunch of questions that he brought in for the spirits to answer through those meetings. And the Spirits book, it's one of his work. And on book 3, in regards to the moral laws, is the one that I picked to work with. First of all, because I think it's important for everybody, but more important that I think that I should dedicate study time to it. So somewhere you may find previous studies on chapter 1, which was the divine and natural law. I had a PowerPoint, but it didn't work. So talking about vulnerability. Chapter 2, the law of worship. Chapter 3, the law of labor. Chapter 4, the law of reproduction. Those 4 chapters we already covered. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of chapter 5, which is the law of preservation. It goes from question 702 to 727. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to read them all, and I am not going to talk about them all. It's supposed to be a brief sharing. The chapter is subdivided in instinct of self-preservation, means of self-preservation, enjoying the fruits of the earth, necessary and superfluous things, and voluntary deprivation mortification. So, like I said, it's been a while, everything has been a while now. Everything has been at least a year that happened. But even before that, I had stopped bringing studies on this time, Wednesdays. We do have Wednesdays English, Mondays and Saturdays in Portuguese, and I normally do come on Wednesday. So before I stopped, I wasn't really sure which one of the chapters I had to pick back from. And when I saw it was the law of preservation, I thought it was funny and super cool, because during the summer, I participated on a seminar training via Zoom with Nicolai Cursino, where he elaborated a little bit deeper on the Enneagram, which is another science that a lot of you perhaps had already did some study on. If you have not, I would suggest you to. And on this training, he covered a part of that here in our workshops. We didn't have the time to go too much into it. And something that fascinated me, which was about the instincts. And so mainly we all have 3: self-preservation, social, and sexual. And it's almost like a layer on the cake. You can do some inner work and find out which one is the one that you have a higher percentage. And it was curious because on me, it did happen that self-preservation is my cherry on top. And you know, those things like I'm always thinking about being the bodyguard, protecting who I'm with, and if something happens over here, I better be ready to get out, because you know, it's all about physical survivor or organization in my life. I have to have a spreadsheet, or it's comfort because I go anywhere but my pillow comes with me, right? So all those things, I thought, wow, this is going to be, I'm going to be able to relate to this chapter a lot. And so it was interesting to see when Kardec talks about the instinct of self-preservation, that is a law of nature given to all creatures for our improvement. And some purely mechanical, and others associated with reason. It kicks in to protect us once our physical survival is threatened. Economic circumstances, hunger, tiredness, weather conditions, or under distress situation. If you have that instinct dominant, it creates anxiety and worry about material safety, physical comfort, food, clothing, money, housing, health. If you have it repressed, you have no rules, no organization, no comfort, no care for well-being, limits, stability. So it's just another tool for us all to understand exactly all the reactions that we have and all the beliefs that we have, because it's part of it. It's all natural, and there's nothing wrong with you being the way you are and me being the way I am. So on question 704, Allan Kardec asks, in giving humans the desire to live, has God always provided them with the means of doing so? Thought it was very good question, almost like common sense. If you had the opportunity to read On the Way to the Light from Chico Xavier, Emmanuel through Chico Xavier, you see that, well, the planet came first, and then the creatures, right? The cells and the amoeba and the mineral and the vegetables and the animals and us. So the answer is that yes, and if they do not always find the means, it is because they do not understand them. God would not instill the love of life in humankind without giving them the means to live. And God has created earth so that it is able to produce sufficient means for all its inhabitants. He continues on 705, why is that earth does not always produce enough to provide the human race with what is necessary to live? Because human beings are ungrateful and neglect to make fruitful use of earth's bounty. Nevertheless, she is an excellent mother. They often accuse nature of what is truly the direct consequence of their nearsightedness. They use Earth's resources to supply luxuries when they should be setting them aside to supply necessities instead. If human beings could simply be content with what is necessary, the earth would always provide it. If it does not provide for all their wants, it is because humanity uses earth resources to supply luxuries when they should be setting them aside to supply necessities instead. Think I copy and paste twice. No perfection. Nature is not careless, but humans do not know how to control their use of her bounty. Without plants and animals, our lives would not be possible. Oxygen, clear water, and soil, and our earliest tools, food and clothing, came from flora and fauna. We domesticated some wild animals to become our livestock, providing milk, meat, and clothing. I think that it speaks for itself that some way along the way, we have lost the appreciation or even the awareness where everything comes from and what do we do with it. It's almost like a one-way street where we take and we don't think about giving it back or even so conserving and protecting. So when tomorrow comes, and when I say tomorrow, I mean not this 100 years, hopefully, that we're gonna live here, but the next 100 when we come back, or even our predecessors, our kids, hundreds, so they can have a quality life with supplies. I don't think that the birds are worried about it every day because they don't even know what time it is, but for sure at 6 a.m. they start singing every day, happy creatures, and they find their food and they have their housing. So we do have what we need. Maybe we just have lost, we lost the balancing of what is exactly what I need, what do we need from what we want. Majority of the time probably it's just a want, is not a need, because if it's a need, is probably there for us. The question 707 goes as, there are always individuals who lack the means to survive, despite living surrounded by abundance. Who should be blamed for this? I found it funny that he wanted someone to blame for, but the answer was at the selfishness of humans, and most often to the individuals themselves. You must search of what you want passionately and with perseverance, without being discouraged by obstacles that are often only a means of testing your determination, patience, and resolve. We would have to be blind, however, if we did not acknowledge the progress that has already been accomplished in this direction among the most advanced nations. Philanthropy and science have focused on the betterment of humankind, and despite an increased global population, they have managed to minimize the effects of insufficient production dramatically. So it's not just all chaos. I think a lot of it goes with what we ask for and how we ask for, and not even what we ask, but more of where do we believe our happiness lies on it. Because if I believe that I'll be a happier person and with a job position, and I pray for that and I don't get that, so then it's not, it doesn't go my way, because the way that I think it's my way, it has to be that way. So I think it's more about where our focus is going than really not finding, nah? Because he says who, there's so much around, how come the individuals that they lack the means to survive? And a great thing that I brought to illustrate this part is from the book of Matthew, one of Jesus' teachings that is on Matthew 7, from 7 to 8, and it goes like this. Ask, and it will be given you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives, he who seeks finds. To him who knocks, it will be open. So, exercising the faith that we will never be let down, or even more, that there is always our protectors, if you want to call that, or however you want to call your guardian angels, your mentors, or whoever they may be, there for you. It's just a matter of accessing them. And not only that, is really going into a perspective of, are you really asking the right way for the right thing? not really the right is not the word. You know, sometimes you have this, you can't really find the word in English, but it's like what is meant to, regardless of good or bad, or whatever it is to happen, if it is for my learning, so it comes because I'm given the tools to deal with it, right? And we can't forget that we come from a world, we are in a world of trials and expiations. So no, it's not going to be hearts and rainbows and unicorns, but no matter what it comes, we will have what we need to do with it. We have what we need to do with it, right? So when he says that there is a lot of movement already on people to help with the situation, you know, there's so many examples, but ones that I saw recently was, you know, let's just mention Bill Gates. He has just come up with a book that, according to him, haven't read, is a plan on how to avoid a climate disaster. And I just saw that like 7 years ago or something, he had a TED Talk about a new epidemic, no? And so, like, there are people out there that do dedicate their lives, they're successful, that they have the resources to help globally the ones in need, and they do have a focus on making our home a better, sustainable place. So if I ask what should we understand by fruits of the earth, what would that be? So all the natural things where the soil is a source that the earth produces in its products. Anything that human beings enjoy in their physical experiences are so-called fruits of the earth. We were all given the right to enjoy it since it's a direct consequence of the need to live. God does not impose a duty without providing the means to carry it out, to carrying it out. All material things are there to motivate us in accomplishing our mission and to test us by temptation, the desire to have or do, with the purpose to develop our reasoning so that it may safeguard us from excess. We should ask and listen to ourselves more often so we can observe how the nature in us clearly indicate our true limits of pleasure. We should not, like sheep, follow the herd of creatures in front of us, making our way where others go, not where we ought to go. This last sentence was a quote from a Greek philosopher named Seneca. So everything, we have unlimited supplies. We just need to ask for and will be given it to us. So how about breaking from being a follower to whatever is that someone is saying? I think that, I think a lot now. I had said the word think many times, but I do think a lot. We lost ourselves. Well, first of all, we have been inflicted with a belief since we are born from our caregivers. And so ourselves are somewhere that we don't know where, because we are just reacting to someone's idea. So if I say that now everybody needs a phone, the latest model, then everybody's going to feel like they need that phone, because without that phone, then the phone is just an easy example. It could be whatever, the car, the clothes, anything. So I buy ideas and opinions that don't really belong to me because I don't stop to think if that really even makes sense. Because what is good for me may not be good for you, and vice versa, right? It's not because you are gonna go on a cruise that I need to go on the cruise. I wish I could go on a cruise, but hey, maybe, I wouldn't go through the things that I need to go through if I was on a cruise. So I think that this comparison that we have among ourselves stop us from being able to be happy for each other and to be thankful for what we have in our own little world. And if we all just think about what can we do in our own way to help out, instead of pointing fingers that the situation is what the situation is because of this politician or this government, or blaming someone without looking to what can I do to change, regardless if anybody else is going to do anything else to change, then we can probably use the fruits of earth in a better way. Something just to think about it. On question 715, Allan Kardec asks, how can human beings know the limit of what is necessary? Well, wise men and women know by intuition, while many others learn through experience and at their own expense. Human beings are insatiable. Our vices changed our natural structure, creating wants that are not real needs. Great reason for us to keep on working on our morals. Perhaps we will more and more be able to see we can live in a much simpler way. Famous question, do you really need this or you just want it? Sleep on a purchase for 24 hours. If tomorrow you still need, then you go get it. It's pretty much what I was just talking about without even knowing it was coming next, because you can rehearse this studies a million times. When you get here, you're gonna say something completely different, and everybody that has been here can relate to that. So I don't even, care too much about it. But that little voice that you have inside of you that says, don't go that far, or you have gone too far, not another one, or now one more, and you do it anyway. So when he was talking about how do you know your limits, you do know, we do know, but we ignore. We just ignore the guru inside of us, the teacher inside of us. We just totally ignore because we're stubborn. And just like he said, insatiable. So we always want more. The fun part is to be able to recognize that and keep on trying to next time not to get to that point. I would say, at least that's what I try to do for me. When you get to learn more about your personalities and your own demons or your weaknesses and your strengths, you can just be able to pick it up faster and transform before it explodes. Or just let it explode too. That's not a problem. It's gonna happen. It's up and down every day, right? Are voluntary deprivations meant to serve as a voluntary atonement, compensation, laudable in God's eyes? So are voluntary deprivations meant to serve as a voluntary atonement, laudable in God's eyes? The answer is very simple. Do good to others and you will acquire more merit. Is any voluntary deprivation commendable? Yes, the self-deprivation of useless indulgences, because it weakens the hold that matter has on human beings and elevates their soul. Resistance to the temptation that solicits excess or indulgence is what is useless and praiseworthy. Equal commendable is cutting back on your necessities so that you have more to give to those in need. If your deprivation are only in vain pretense, they are a derision. So just be more willing to cut down so you can then share more, if that makes any sense, and for the right reasons, not so you can glorify yourself and put yourself in a pedestal like you are so special and so important, but more for the result that is going, the impact that is going to. I think it's different than like sharing, because when you're doing something and you want to bring awareness, I think the best thing to do is to broadcast, because maybe with your testimony and through your actions, people can stop and analyze if there's anything that it can change on their own day-to-day. And the question that I leave tonight you all with is simple, and it will be homework and food for thought, right? What can I do to help Earth, our home, on my day-to-day? So what can you do in a very small scale, one day at a time, or at least think about a strategy of what can you do to help, first, vote, but not talking about vote, Earth. So according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, I love those letters, not the abbreviations. Environmental Protection Agency, I didn't know it existed. I love to doing this study because I have to research a bunch. On last reports, 2018, the total of the country solid waste was 290 million tons, which is about 5 pounds per person per day. Out of those 290, 69 were recycled and 25 composted. So rounding, to make it easier, we have about 200 million tons to take care of it or minimize or reduce. So I brought a couple suggestions and see if maybe you can implement in your life or in your family or in your house or at work or in your community, somewhere, as every little bit counts. So we can now, I guess, appreciate nature, be able to wake up and just look out and be thankful that we have a sun, that we have a moon, that we have an air, that there's oxygen just giving it to us so we could be here. We can do a little bit of research, take time off Facebook and Instagram and research for eco-friendly companies that do have all the stuff that we need, but they're just eco-friendly. These companies are very cool because they have certain certifications, and one of the certifications that they have to be a true eco-friendly company is, I think it calls Certificate 1. And what it is that these companies do give back 1% of their profit into environmental cause. So we can try to do that. We're going to buy it anyway, so we're just better off just buying from them, right? We can look for sustainable products. Not everybody can have a Tesla, but you know, maybe in the future it'll be more accessible. Future. We can just smell the flowers. We can just plant a tree, or if you cannot plant, just hug them, because they have energy to give as well. We can walk barefoot to appreciate the earth. We can try less garbage, less trash, less plastic, by maybe having your own water bottle and not using more plastic water bottles, maybe. Is there a way of doing that? Maybe a filter. You can turn off the lights when you walk out of the room. You can look into solar panels and other home improvements. The city, I think the county, or some cities, look at your own city, they do give rebates if you do change some appliances. Recycle, please look into your city as well. It varies from city to city. It's not everything. Not every recycled material is picked up by the recycling company and is processed by waste management, at least here locally. So it's not just because it's recycled that you're going to throw in the recycle, because that doesn't mean that they will be recycling that product. So look into recycling, save water, you know, when I brush your teeth, just turn off and then you turn on, don't let it just run. Maybe some compost. It was the coolest thing in Germany. My friend has right there under the sink, like we have ours. She has hers, and it's on a paper bag, and it goes in a special bin that is picked up by the garbage truck that just picks up compost. So it was pretty cool. We can go back into the old times. I remember that because my grandma used to have that, and so my mom did it too a little bit, which was the clotheslines to hang your garments so you don't have to use the dryer. If not everything, at least some of them, so you don't have to do 2 loads. You can just do 1 load. Every little bit counts. Can open the window for fresh air if you're not in Florida in the summer. And the most important one that everybody I know can do, a garbage bag when you go to the beach. That is a must. It's amazing how good you can do, how much shopping you can have if you go walking on the beach with an empty garbage bag. I just wanted to hopefully had given you guys an idea about what this law of preservation is. Definitely go check the chapter out and read it through it. There's so much you can absorb from with your own, on your own prepositions. And that is all I had for today. I completely realized that I ignored the initial prayer that we normally do. So let's make a special one to end with. And I'm going to say is for changing our frequency and If you feel comfortable and if you like to join us, just make sure you are relaxed, sitting on a comfortable way with your straight back, and that you don't have to be tossing and turning around. Close your eyes and feel your lungs like balloons. Your heart that is beating, and you don't have to do anything for it. It's just beating. Your breath that is available at any time. Slow it down. Make it longer. Put your focus into your feet, into your legs, into your core, into your arms and hands. Look for this sensation of energy that surrounds you. This energy that we have, we can also expand it. We can grow, reach the walls of our homes, the place where we at, the people that are closer to us. And we can make even bigger, reaching our neighborhoods, our cities, our states, our countries. We can bring an image to our minds of the ones that could use this high energy, positive, healthy vibration of healing and happiness and joy. All the ones they are in hospitals, or maybe just at home, lonely, depressed, sad, needing a little bit of a shoulder to cry on. That this wave of good vibes just reach them from nowhere, that they can feel hope and have faith. And even if it's just for an instance, we can reach our relatives, our loved ones, the friends that we have across the world, the people that we don't know, the people that suffer in silence, the ones that are lost, the ones that are still walking with their eyes closed. We are so thankful for this life opportunity on this beautiful, amazing planet, that it was given it to us, that we are borrowing, that we do not owe, that we have to give it back just the way it was. We appreciate all the support that we have here every day. And we thank you so much for another day. So be it. Alrighty, I think that is it. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good evening. Thank you. Yes?